We were a stuck church, and we didn't want to be a dying church.
We were trying to do outreach, trying to grow, and it just wasn't quite working for us.
People were having a hard time. It was almost like you could tell when you showed up that they were struggling.
Fremont Avenue United Methodist Church found itself in such a predicament that it was unable to sustain itself.
Rather than signs of life, there was signs of discouragement.
This opportunity came around at the right time for us to, partner with another historic church.
The South Wyoming congregation had struggled. They may have had about 80 people at one time. The attendance had fallen to about 50.
We didn't want to be that dying church. We didn't want to see our doors close. We were hungry for change, and God answered our prayers by bringing us to Sycamore Creek.
There's a change happening at Potterville. Would you all be interested in exploring an adoption there? And we said, yeah, we would. That'd be great.
We had the opportunity to adopt a church in South Wyoming.
It wasn't something we were looking into, but we felt that was an answer from God.
One of the things I saw here at the Potterville campus was a lot of uncertainty and fear about the unknown. What was this going to look like? What was going to happen?
Well, this adoption process has been filled with challenges. It's incredibly difficult to be adopted.
So it was a little bit difficult to think about, number one, growing so much, so fast.
I think when you're talking about adoption, there's a sense of loss in the congregation.
And number two, possibly losing some of the tradition that we had, as South Wyoming United Methodist.
There's new ways of doing things, and some of the old ways, we're not doing them that way anymore.
It's really the beginning of a new chapter of ministry.
It's been both a give and a take. Changes on both sides, excitement on both sides, things that both have brought to the table.
There was a lot of humility in the process as we voted.
We weren't here to necessarily take over as much as we were to come alongside and join together as a new multi-site community.
That's one of the strengths of a campus adopting another, when you can bring resources of people and leadership and financial resources they just don't have.
Some of the leadership that was already here at this church is just really spectacular, and the energy, the enthusiasm, the faith, their love of Jesus has inspired us as well.
And almost immediately, within a couple weeks, we began to see signs of life. And there was a newfound joy and excitement in worship.
New faces are coming into the building, new opportunities to get to know people.
We're continuing to grow. South Wyoming United Methodist 2 years ago was averaging about 35 in attendance on a weekend.
The congregation now averages between 300 and 400 people.
What I was hoping for from the very beginning, it's exciting to see that come to fruition now.
We're seeing people here at Potterville who are coming to church for the first time. We've seen a 30 to 40% increase in attendance over last year.
Through this adoption and all the new life that we have in Potterville, we don't want it to just stay there and just celebrate what's happening there. We want to continue to reach out into the community.
I think the biggest challenge is realizing, again, this is one church in two locations, not two churches in two locations.
I would say that 80 to 90% of those fears that people had never materialized. There were all of these strengths and excitement and motivation that happened.
I really believe we're in an era where no church has to close anymore.
This church again is alive and vibrant, and I think that's one of the better things that we can point to as saying what came out of the adoption.
That this is a really viable way to grow your church.
I think if more churches were willing to be adopted or engage in adoption and learn the processes that go along with that, I think there's an amazing story yet to be told.
We thought we were reaching out to the community, but actually we were more focused inwardly.
This is not the church. The church is out there. We do church here as a group to encourage each other, but the church is out in the community.
What we've seen is an excitement and an enthusiasm regarding our worship services that has drawn people in.
God is the God of redemption, and He proved it in this adoption model.
So I really encourage churches that have some strength to think about adopting, and we can teach the process, we can learn from each other, and I think we can still grow this kingdom of God for Christ.